Scientists of Reddit. What's something we know is true, but people don't realize how crazy it is? About 99.86% of all the mass in the solar system is inside the sun, everything else combined. All the planets, moons, asteroids, comets, Kuiper Belt objects, Oort cloud objects. They are a rounding error compared to the sun. The Earth has about 0.0003% of the solar system's mass. We are decimal dust. For decades, we have known that two tricks to help you lucid dream are looking at your hands or trying to read text. Dreams do not do hands or text well. If you look at your hands in a dream, they often look distorted or have the wrong number of fingers, and text in dreams is scrambled and unreadable. That can be a clue that you are in a dream. But here's the weird part. Why the heck are dreams and artificial intelligence suffering from the exact same glitch? The age of wood, when plants first developed lignin, which let them grow tall woody stems. We got the first trees. For millions of years, nothing on Earth could digest lignin. Trees grew tall, died, and fell over. They just lay there without rotting. Imagine that. Entire forests of fallen trees just piling up on top of each other for millions of years because nothing could break them down. Wood piled up in this way for an unimaginably long time before it was suddenly over. Charles Keeling had a team at Mauna Loa Observatory taking twice daily samples of the air since 1958. They were specifically testing for carbon dioxide. As you can imagine, this was done by a person bringing a jar out, holding their breath, opening the jar, waving it around, putting back on the lid, then resuming their breathing every day, twice a day. The technology for testing these samples for the different isotopes and exact measurements that are actually useful was invented and brought to the island in 1978. Let that sink in. They collected jars of air for 20 years before they actually had a way to test them properly. And they did it every day, twice a day. All good scientists are mad scientists. The crazier, the better. I'm not a scientist, but I have always been fascinated with the fact that we cannot recreate materials and technologies like Roman marine concrete and true Damascus steel. Our modern technology allows us to analyze ancient materials with extreme precision, but several historical materials cannot be exactly replicated due to lost recipe knowledge, unavailable raw materials, or specialized techniques that passed away with their creators. For Roman marine concrete, we have not fully replicated the long-term durability of Roman concrete, particularly its ability to strengthen over time when exposed to seawater. The secret lies in a specific, long-lost volcanic ash mixture that forms rare, reinforcing crystals called altobermorite. These crystals actually harden upon contact with salt water, rather than degrading like modern concrete. Our modern concrete pales in comparison, and true Damascus steel blows my mind. The original Damascus steel was made from Wootz ore in India. It was famously strong, flexible, and sharp. It often featured wavy, flowing patterns. The specific production technique and the raw materials were lost in the 17th or 18th century. Modern smiths cannot recreate the exact nanotechnological internal carbon nanotube composition structure. Others like the Lycurgus cup, which is dichroic glass, and Greek fire are wild as well. Do not get me wrong. As fascinating as these are, I am almost glad they cannot be recreated by humanity now. I'm glad they were guarded secrets and lost to history. Modern-day humanity has a way of polluting things, a lot of times, and I would hate to see those marvels warped into anything less than fascinating. Fly around the surface of Earth once non-stop in a 747. It would take around 2 days. Fly around the sun once non-stop in a 747. Around 6 months. Fly once around the largest star ever discovered in a 747. 1,200 years. Now fly across the entire Milky Way once in a 747. 120 billion years. Let that scale sink in. The universe is not really three-dimensional space but four-dimensional space-time. That is one unified geometric structure containing all events at every place and time. What we call now is not a universal slice shared by everyone. Different states of motion correspond to different slices through that structure, and therefore to different notions of simultaneity. A simplified analogy is an animator's flipbook. It does not make sense to ask what a character is doing right now, while the book is just sitting on the shelf. Everything the character ever does is already contained within it. To talk about what is happening now, you first have to choose a page. Once you do, you can describe what the character is doing on that slice, but choosing one page does not mean the others do not exist. It also does not mean another observer could not choose a different page as their now. The reality is actually even weirder. Slicing at different angles puts different events at different times for different observers. Even after compensating for signal delay, events that are not causally connected have no absolute time ordering at all. For 186 million years, giant reptiles absolutely dominated the planet, on land, in the sky, and in the rivers and oceans, until a single asteroid ended it all. Extinction events are usually more complex or drawn out over thousands or millions of years, but the one that happened 66 million years ago was caused by a single extremely rare event that happened on one random day. One space rock hitting a shallow part of the Gulf of Mexico caused almost every animal larger than a wolf to perish, worldwide, within a few months. It is the only mass extinction event that was truly instantaneous in a geological sense, and it ended one of the most diverse and spectacular ecological eras in Earth's history. Every breath you take today likely includes at least one molecule once exhaled by Julius Caesar when he passed away. How is that possible? Because the atmosphere thoroughly mixes over time, and each breath contains an enormous number of molecules, approximately 1 × 10 to the power of 22 molecules in every single breath. But it can get even more interesting. Due to the number of molecules in our atmosphere and those in each breath, and given enough time, every breath you take likely includes a molecule of air once breathed by Taylor Swift at that concert a few years ago. A molecule once breathed by William Shakespeare, by medieval peasants working in the fields, by Cleopatra herself, by Jesus of Nazareth, by woolly mammoths roaming the Ice Age plains, and even by dinosaurs millions of years ago. Want to blow your mind even more? Every time you drink a glass of water, at least one molecule of that water likely passed right through a dinosaur. Big numbers. For one thing, the universe is unfathomably massive. If you were in a bullet train traveling 200 miles per hour, it would take roughly 2,000 years just to reach the sun, and the sun is insanely close in cosmological scale. To get to the closest star other than our sun, it would take 9 times the age of our entire universe. That is around 125 billion years on a bullet train. There's another good example. Think about how many ways you can shuffle a standard 52-card deck. The answer is approximately 8 × 10 to the power of 67. That is a number so large that your brain cannot even begin to process it. Seems big, right? We literally cannot comprehend it. If these numbers scare you, do not even begin to think about how many atoms make up the human body. Unfortunately, humans simply are not built to comprehend these numbers, and it is becoming a serious problem for our species. Dude, the fact that your body completely replaces most of its cells every 7 to 10 years blew my mind when I first learned it. You are literally not the same physical person you were a decade ago. Every single cell has been swapped out. Your brain just keeps the continuity going. I remember trying to explain this to my roommate, and he just stared at me like I was making it up. He thought I was joking. It makes you think about identity in a weird way, though. Are we just our memories riding around in a constantly changing meat suit? It is basically the whole Ship of Theseus thought experiment, but happening with our actual bodies in real time. The Earth is nuclear powered. The core contains far and away the majority of radioactive isotopes on our planet. Part of what keeps the mantle molten is this radioactivity. Without it, the mantle would have solidified already, and that would throw a wrench into all kinds of Earth systems. No more tectonic plates. No more magnetic field protecting us. Interesting fact, Lord Kelvin once attempted to estimate the age of the Earth by studying how it cools. He assumed the Earth began as molten, which is true. Then he calculated how long it would take an Earth-sized body of molten rock to cool to modern surface temperatures. He estimated between 20 and 100 million years. But the main error in his calculation was that he did not account for radioactive decay, which keeps generating new heat from within. I am personally a big fan of relative size of things. If you were to stretch out all of the genetic code, the deoxyribonucleic acid, in a single cell, it would measure 2 meters or 6.5 feet. On a more macro scale, the surface area of human lungs is equivalent to a tennis court. I have a doctoral degree in molecular biology and worked as a professional protein biologist for a bit. I miss it. But my health was declining, and my brain and hands just are not built for fast-paced science anymore. Shout out to multiple sclerosis. After being a behavioral specialist for so long, it is astounding how much of human behavior is built on wanting attention from others. Even me just writing this comment right now. The primary motivation would be to gain attention and demonstrate my knowledge.
Sure.
I just want to share. But even that desire to share is rooted in attention-seeking behavior. At first, it is a little disturbing, realizing that none of us can escape it. No matter how self-aware you are, you're still doing it, but it is part of being human. We are wired to be this social, and it has helped us to survive as a species. My dad is a marine biologist, and I have done some work with him. I got a job at the same company during high school. However, I think the craziest thing is how big of a role the ocean and the life inside it plays in oxygen production. It accounts for more than 50% of the Earth's oxygen production. Think about that. More than half the oxygen you're breathing right now came from the ocean. It also plays a massive role in sequestering carbon,